Imagine being a child in a world where survival is a daily battle, where hunger, fear, and loss are the only things you truly know. This is the story of Aron, a young Jewish boy growing up in Poland during one of history's darkest times. His journey is not just about survival, but about the choices people make when faced with cruelty. This is the Book of Aron, a heartbreaking yet powerful novel based on real events. Aron is just a young boy when war begins to change everything around him. He lives in Poland with his family, but life is already hard. His parents struggle to make ends meet, and Aron, instead of being a good student, often gets into trouble. School doesn't interest him, and he prefers running around the streets with his friends. But soon, things take a turn for the worse. Germany invades Poland, and the world Aron knew starts to disappear. The streets become dangerous, food becomes scarce, and Jewish families like his are treated as less than human. He watches as rules change overnight. Jews must wear armbands, they can't go to certain places, and their rights slowly disappear. Then comes the worst part. Aron and his family are forced to move into the Warsaw Ghetto, a cramped, filthy part of the city where thousands of Jews are locked in together. The conditions are unbearable. Disease spreads, food is almost impossible to find, and people die every day. Aron, once just a mischievous boy, must now learn to survive in this new reality. His days become a fight for food, safety, and warmth. He starts doing small jobs, sometimes legal, sometimes not, to keep himself and his family alive. But in a world where survival means making tough choices, Aron will soon have to decide how far he is willing to go. This is just the beginning of his story. In the next part, we'll see how Aron's choices start to shape his destiny and how he meets a man who will change his life forever. Janusz Korczak, the doctor who ran an orphanage in the ghetto. Stay with me as we continue this powerful journey. Aron's life inside the Warsaw Ghetto is full of struggle. The streets are always crowded with people who are hungry and weak. There is not enough food, and disease spreads quickly. The buildings are old and broken, and the air smells bad. Everywhere Aron looks, he sees people suffering. Some are sitting on the ground, too tired to move. Others are begging for food. Some people die right on the streets, and no one has the strength to help them. First, Aron stays close to his family. His mother and father try to keep the family together, but they are also struggling. His father is sick, and his mother worries all the time. Aron's brothers and sisters are hungry, just like him. There is never enough food for everyone. His parents try to give the little food they have to the younger children, but Aron is also growing, and hunger makes him desperate. Soon, Aron starts to learn how to survive on his own. He joins a group of boys who sneak out of the ghetto to find food. These boys are called smugglers. They crawl under fences, climb over walls, and find small ways to escape. Outside the ghetto, food is easier to find, but it is dangerous to take it back inside. Soldiers guard the entrances, and if they catch anyone smuggling, they punish them severely. Aron watches other kids take big risks to get food. Some are caught and beaten. Some never return. But hunger makes people do dangerous things. Aron learns the tricks of smuggling. He finds hidden paths and learns when the guards are not looking. He takes small amounts of food at first, just enough to help his family. But as time passes, he realizes that even food cannot keep them safe. People in the ghetto are not just dying from hunger. Disease is also spreading. One by one, Aron's family members fall sick. Medicine is expensive and hard to find. Doctors in the ghetto try to help, but they do not have enough supplies. There are too many sick people and not enough treatment. Aron watches helplessly as his father becomes weaker. His mother does everything she can, but nothing works. One day, his father does not wake up. Aron realizes that death is becoming a part of daily life. He feels angry, sad, and lost, but he knows he cannot stop. He must keep finding food. He must keep surviving. As Aron spends more time outside, he meets people who live differently. Some are cruel and only care about themselves. Others try to help, even when they do not have much to give. Among these people, there is one man who stands out, Janusz Korczak. Korczak is different from others. He does not run away. He does not think only about himself. He runs an orphanage inside the ghetto, a place for children who have lost their families. While many adults fight for their own survival, Korczak takes care of the weakest, children who have no one left. Aron hears about him from other kids. Some say he is a doctor. Some say he is a teacher. Others say he is just a kind man who believes children should be treated with respect, no matter what is happening in the world. But what surprises Aron the most is that Korczak refuses to leave the orphanage, even when he has the chance. One day, Aron finally meets Korczak. The man looks tired, but his eyes are kind. He speaks to the children gently, even when he is giving them instructions. He does not shout. He does not hit. He listens. This is something Aron has not seen in a long time. In a place where adults are desperate, Korczak still believes in kindness. Aron does not understand why Korczak stays in the ghetto when he could save himself. He does not understand why the doctor spends so much energy taking care of children who are not even his own. But something about the man makes Aron curious. He starts to visit the orphanage more often, watching, listening, and slowly learning that there is another way to survive. Not just by fighting for food, but by holding on to kindness, even in a world full of cruelty. Inside the orphanage, Aron begins to see a different way of living. Even in the middle of the ghetto, Janusz Korczak runs the orphanage not like a place of sorrow, but like a small world where children are still treated as human beings. He does not believe that just because the world outside is cruel, the children should live without dignity. Instead, he creates a place where they have rules, responsibilities, and even small moments of happiness. Korczak does not allow the orphanage to turn into chaos. Even though hunger and fear are everywhere, the children wake up at the same time every day. They have tasks to do, cleaning, organizing, helping in the kitchen. Even though there is not much food, they sit together at meals and share whatever they have. He teaches them that even when there is little, there is still enough to share. Aron watches all of this, and at first, he does not understand it. He has spent so much time on the streets, struggling to survive, that he does not see the point of rules. Why wake up at a certain time when every day is just another fight to stay alive? Why follow orders when no one outside cares about right and wrong anymore? But the longer he stays, the more he realizes that these rules are not about control. They are about holding on to something bigger than fear. The orphanage has a court system where the children themselves make decisions. If one child does something wrong, the others listen to the case and decide what should happen. It is not about punishment. It is about fairness. Korczak believes that children should have a voice, that they should learn how to make decisions for themselves. Aron finds this strange at first. In the ghetto, power belongs to the strongest. But here, even the smallest child can speak up and be heard. Aron begins to help around the orphanage. At first, he does it just to have a place to stay, a place where he does not have to run or fight for food. But slowly, something changes in him. He watches how Korczak treats the children, not as helpless victims, but as real people with thoughts, feelings, and dreams. Aron has never seen an adult behave this way before. Most adults in the ghetto are either too broken to care or too busy trying to survive. But Korczak is different. Even when there is no food, he does his best to keep the children hopeful. He tells them stories, he listens to them, he treats them with respect. He even puts on small plays for them, using what little they have to create moments of joy. Aron wonders why Korczak does all this when he knows what is coming. The ghetto is not a place where people live for long. Every day, more people are taken away. Rumors spread about what happens to those who leave, and everyone knows the truth, even if they do not say it out loud. Still, Korczak refuses to give up. He writes in his diary about the children, about their laughter, about their fears. He refuses to leave them, even though he has been offered chances to escape. Aron cannot understand this at first. Why would anyone choose to stay in a place that is doomed? Why would anyone choose to suffer when they could run? But Korczak is not like other people. He believes that these children deserve love and care until the very last moment. He believes that even in the face of death, dignity matters. Aron begins to feel something he has not felt in a long time. Belonging. He still sneaks out of the ghetto sometimes. He still does things to survive. But when he returns to the orphanage, he feels a kind of peace. He listens to Korczak's lessons, not just about reading and writing, but about kindness and courage. He starts to wonder if maybe there is more to life than just survival. But the walls of the ghetto are closing in. The German soldiers are taking more and more people every day. The orphanage cannot stay safe forever. Aron knows this, and deep down, he fears what will happen next. Yet, in the middle of all this, Korczak remains the same. He does not show fear. He does not abandon the children. He stands with them, protecting them in the only way he knows how, by treating them as children, not prisoners. Aron does not realize it yet, but his time at the orphanage is changing him. He is learning something he never thought possible in a world like this. He is learning what it means to care about something bigger than himself. The days inside the ghetto grow darker. More people disappear. Sometimes they leave quietly, taken in the middle of the night. Other times, the streets are filled with the sound of boots marching, orders shouted in harsh voices, and the cries of those being forced onto trains. Everyone knows what these trains mean. They say the people are being sent to work camps, but no one really believes that anymore. Inside the orphanage, life continues as if nothing has changed. But Aron can feel the fear growing. The children do not talk about it, but he can see it in their eyes. Some of them wake up crying at night. Some ask questions, their voices small and uncertain. Where is my friend? When will my sister come back? No one has answers. Korczak does not lie to them. He does not promise things he cannot give. But he also refuses to let fear control them. He tells them stories. He helps them put on plays. He makes sure they still follow their daily routines. Even in the worst times, he tells them, we must still live like people. Aron does not know what to make of this. He sees people change when they are afraid. He has seen strong men become weak. Mothers leave behind their own children just to save themselves. But Korczak does not change. He does not run. He does not hide. Aron wonders if the man is foolish or if he is simply stronger than everyone else. One day, Aron is out in the streets when he sees something that makes his stomach turn. A group of soldiers is marching through the ghetto. Behind them, a long line of people, men, women, children, walk with their heads down. Some carry small bags, others nothing at all. The line moves toward the train station. Aron watches from the shadows. He has learned how to be invisible when he needs to be. He knows that looking too long, standing too close, could mean death. The soldiers have no patience. They shoot people who move too slowly. They hit those who cry out. Aron sees a little boy trip and fall. The mother tries to help him up, but a soldier grabs her and pushes her forward. The boy is left behind, crying, arms reaching for her. But she does not stop. She cannot stop. The line keeps moving, and the boy is swallowed by the crowd. Aron turns away, his heart pounding. He knows that the orphanage cannot escape this forever. He wants to tell Korczak to leave, to run while he still can. But when he returns, he finds the doctor as calm as ever. That night, Aron cannot sleep. He lies awake, staring at the ceiling. He remembers when he was just a boy running through the streets, getting into trouble, never thinking about the world beyond his small games. Now all he thinks about is survival. He wonders what it would be like to live in a world without war, without hunger, without fear. One day, Korczak calls all the children together. He tells them they will put on a play. The children cheer, happy for a distraction. Aron watches as they rehearse, as they laugh, as they pretend for a little while that everything is normal. He does not understand why Korczak does this. The ghetto is falling apart. Any day now, the soldiers will come for them too. What is the point of pretending? But then he sees something in the children's faces. Something he has not seen in a long time. They are smiling. They are not thinking about hunger or death or the trains. They are simply being children. And for the first time, Aron understands. Korczak knows what is coming. He knows the orphanage will not be safe forever. But he refuses to let the children spend their last days in fear. He is not saving their bodies, but he is saving something else. their dignity, their innocence, their right to feel joy, even in the face of death. Aron feels something heavy in his chest. He has spent so long trying to survive that he has forgotten what it means to live. He has seen people betray each other for a piece of bread. He has stolen, lied, and fought just to stay alive. But here in the orphanage, there is something different. There is kindness. There is love. And for the first time, he begins to wonder if survival is the only thing that matters. But survival is not guaranteed in the ghetto. The soldiers are coming closer. The trains are waiting. And soon the orphanage's time will run out. As the days pass, the fear in the ghetto becomes impossible to ignore. It is in the air. It is in the whispers of the people, and it is in the eyes of the children. They know, even if they don't fully understand, that something terrible is coming. The soldiers are taking more and more people from the streets, and the orphanage cannot stay hidden forever. But Janusz Korczak continues to care for the children, continuing with their lessons, their routines, and their games. He never lets the fear control him. His calmness is both comforting and unsettling. One morning, there is an unusual silence in the orphanage. The children are waiting to hear what Korczak will say. But he does not speak right away. They can feel the tension building. The war outside is closing in. They have been warned that the Germans are going to start taking all the Jews in the ghetto to the death camps. It is no longer a question of if, but when. Korczak walks into the room and sits down with the children. As he always does, he does not say anything at first. He just looks at them, as if searching for the right words. Then, in his gentle voice, he tells them that they must prepare for something difficult. He doesn't say the word death, but everyone understands. He tells them that they will be leaving the orphanage. They will be leaving everything behind. The children are silent. Some of them look confused, while others begin to cry. They do not know where they are going. But they know it is not going to be good. Korczak doesn't offer false hope. He doesn't tell them that everything will be okay. Instead, he talks to them about courage. He tells them that no matter where they go, they must go together. He tells them that the most important thing is to be with each other. Aron listens to him, but he feels numb. He can barely take in the words. He knows that they are not safe. He knows that their time is running out, but he cannot imagine what it will be like to leave the orphanage, to leave Korczak, and to leave the only place that has ever felt like home. Korczak starts to make preparations. He tells the older children to gather what little they have, to take only what they can carry. They are going to be moved, but they will not be moved as animals. He insists that they walk, that they keep their heads high, and that they remember that they are people, not just victims. Aron sees how the children react to Korczak. Some are scared, but they trust him. They trust that he will take care of them. Even when there is nothing left to care for, the children, many of them so young, still smile when they see him. They still listen when he talks. They still have hope in their small way. Korczak refuses to leave the children's side. He has been offered a chance to escape the ghetto, to save himself, but he has refused. Every day, he walks with the children, teaching them, comforting them. Even as the horrors of the ghetto close in, he has chosen to stay with them until the end. The day comes when the German soldiers arrive at the orphanage. They march through the streets, their boots loud on the cobblestones. The children line up, holding hands, their faces pale, but determined. They look at Korczak, who nods, as if giving them permission to feel what they are feeling. It is a strange moment because for the first time they are not just frightened children. They are people who know that they have a right to feel fear, but they also have the strength to face it. Korczak leads them out of the orphanage, step by step. The soldiers don't care about the children. They don't care about Korczak. But still, he holds his head high, walking with dignity, walking with purpose. Aron walks behind him, unsure of what will happen next, but determined to stay with Korczak, to stay with the children, to stay with the only person who has ever made him feel like he matters. The journey is long. They walk through the streets, past the houses, past the buildings that have once been homes. They walk with no destination, but they do not stop. Aron feels a deep sadness, a deep loss, but also a strange sense of peace. He is not alone. He is not with people who will abandon him. He is with Korczak, and he is with the other children, and that is enough. The journey leads them to the train station. The trains are waiting, their dark iron cars lined up on the tracks. The children are told to board. Aron is still holding on to the hope that somehow, someway, there will be a way out. But deep down he knows that the moment they board the train, they will be lost to the world. Korczak will not be there to protect them anymore. As the children begin to board the train, Korczak stands at the front, looking at them one last time. His face is calm, his eyes steady. He does not look back. He does not say goodbye. He simply leads them forward, knowing that this is the end. This is the last chapter of their story. But it is also the final act of courage, the final act of compassion. And in that moment, Aron realizes what Korczak has done. He has given them something that no one can take away. Their dignity, even in the face of death. Korczak has made sure that they will never be forgotten. The train doors close, sealing the children inside the dark, crowded car. The space is small, too small for so many people. There are no seats, only the hard wooden floor. The air is thick with the scent of sweat, fear, and something worse, hopelessness. Aron stands near the edge, gripping the wooden walls, trying to steady himself as the train jolts forward. The movement is rough, shaking them with each turn of the wheels. The children hold onto each other. Some of them whisper softly, comforting their younger friends. Others remain silent, their eyes wide, their lips pressed tightly together. Korczak sits among them, his back straight, his face calm. Even now, even in this moment, he does not show fear. He speaks softly, telling them stories, reminding them of the world outside the train, the world that once held sunshine and laughter. He tells them about the summer breeze, the sound of birds, the smell of fresh bread in the morning. He tells them about the sky, about how no one, not even the soldiers, can take away the memory of the sky. The train moves for hours. No one knows where they are going, but everyone knows what it means. They have heard the whispers, the rumors of Treblinka. They know that people go there, but they do not come back. The train stops once in the middle of nowhere. The doors remain shut. The heat inside the car grows unbearable. Some of the younger children begin to cry, their small voices breaking the silence. Others faint from exhaustion, their bodies unable to handle the journey. There is no food. There is no water. Only the slow, steady movement of the train as it begins again, carrying them forward to a place none of them want to see. Aron watches Korczak, studying his face. How can he still be so calm? Does he know something that Aron does not? Or is he simply accepting what is to come? Aron wants to believe that there is still hope, that something will stop the train, that someone will come to save them. But deep inside he knows the truth. He thinks back to the ghetto, to the people he left behind. The ones who fought, the ones who ran, the ones who begged. He wonders if any of them survived. He wonders if anyone will remember them when this is over. As the train continues, Aron feels the walls closing in. The air grows thinner. The sounds of breathing, of whispering, of quiet sobs fill the space. Time no longer feels real. There is only the train, the movement, the endless tracks stretching forward into darkness. At last, after what feels like forever, the train begins to slow. The children stir, their tired eyes searching for answers. The door slides open, letting in a rush of cold air. Bright light pours in, momentarily blinding them. Outside, soldiers stand in a row, their faces emotionless, their guns held tightly in their hands. They bark orders, shouting for everyone to get out. Korczak rises first. He turns to the children, giving them a small nod. Then he steps forward, leading them out of the train, just as he has led them through everything else. The children follow, holding hands, their small feet stepping onto the rough ground. Aron steps out last. He looks around. There is no city, no buildings. Only barbed wire, tall fences, and smoke rising in the distance. The air smells strange, heavy, like something burning. The soldiers push them forward. The children do not fight. They do not run. They walk together, just as Korczak taught them. Even now, in this terrible place, they move with dignity. They are led into a large yard, where hundreds of others are gathered. Aron sees faces he does not recognize. People standing in lines, waiting for something. He hears murmurs, prayers, quiet sobs. Then the group is divided. Men on one side, women and children on the other. Korczak does not leave the children. When the soldiers try to pull him away, he shakes his head. "I stay with them," he says simply. The soldier hesitates for only a moment before nodding. The children are marched forward, their small hands gripping each other tightly. Some of them look back, searching for comfort in Korczak's face. He smiles at them, a soft, reassuring smile, as if to say that everything will be all right. But Aron knows the truth now. He knows what is coming, and as he walks with them, step by step, he finally understands what Korczak has done for them. Not saving their lives, but saving their hearts, their dignity. their last moments of peace in a world that had long since abandoned them. The sun is high in the sky, but there is no warmth. The wind moves through the camp, carrying the scent of smoke and something heavier, something that settles deep in the chest. The children stand together, their small bodies pressed close, their hands gripping tightly, afraid to let go. They are surrounded by fences, by walls of barbed wire that stretch far beyond what their eyes can see. There is no way out. Korczak stands among them, his presence like a steady flame in the cold air. He does not speak, but he does not need to. His silence is not emptiness. It is strength. The children look up at him, waiting, trusting. He is still their teacher, their guide, their protector. He has not left them, and that is enough. The soldiers move through the crowd, shouting orders, separating people into different lines. The weak, the sick, the old, one side. The strong, the useful, the other. Korczak knows where he and the children will go. He knows there is no question, no negotiation. He has made his choice long before this moment. A soldier approaches, eyes scanning the group. He pauses when he sees Korczak. There is recognition in his face. Perhaps he remembers Korczak from the outside world, from a time before all of this. Perhaps he knows his name, his work, his reputation. "You can go," the soldier says, his voice rough but not unkind. "You don't have to be here." For a moment, the camp seems to go silent. The children look up at Korczak, waiting. He does not answer right away. He looks at the soldier, then back at the children. His expression does not change. His choice was never in question. "No," he says quietly. "I stay." The soldier says nothing more. He nods once, then turns away. The group is ordered to move. The children walk in a line, their steps slow but steady. Korczak walks beside them, his hand resting on the shoulder of the smallest child. Aron walks at the back, his feet dragging, his heart pounding. The path they take is lined with others, men, women, children, all marching in the same direction. The air is filled with whispers, prayers, soft cries. No one dares to speak too loudly. They are led to a large brick building, its tall chimney pouring smoke into the sky. The doors are open. The darkness inside seems endless. The soldiers give sharp commands, forcing the group forward. Korczak steps inside first. He does not hesitate. He does not falter. His back is straight, his shoulders strong. The children follow, their trust unbroken. They do not run. They do not scream. They walk together, as they always have, as they always will. Aron hesitates at the threshold. His breath catches in his throat. This is the end. He knows it. He can feel it deep in his bones. But when he looks ahead, when he sees Korczak standing tall, unafraid, something inside him settles. He takes a step forward, then another, and then the doors close. Inside the brick building, the air is heavy and stale. The walls are thick, closing in around them. The children huddle together, their small hands gripping at each other's sleeves, their faces pressed close. Some of them whisper softly, calling for their mothers, their fathers. Names that will never be answered again. Others stay silent, their eyes wide, their bodies trembling. Aron stands near the back, his breath shallow. The space is dark, but he can still see Korczak. The old doctor kneels beside the smallest children, his voice soft, steady, comforting. He does not lie to them. He does not tell them they will be saved. He tells them that they are together, that they will not be alone, that they will be remembered. A soldier steps inside and barks orders. More people are pushed in. The room grows tighter, bodies pressing against each other. The door slams shut behind them. A faint clicking sound echoes in the silence. The lock turning, Aron stares at the door. He knows that outside, beyond these walls, the world continues. The guards will go home when their shift ends. They will eat, they will drink, they will rest. The sky will still be blue. The birds will still fly. Somewhere, far from here, people will laugh, will love, will live. But not here, not in this room. The walls seem to breathe with them. The air growing hotter, thinner. Someone near the front begins to cough. A rough, dry sound. A woman whispers a prayer, her voice shaking. The children press closer to Korczak, their small fingers clutching his coat. He does not move. He does not tremble. He holds them close, his face calm, his arms strong. Aron closes his eyes. He remembers the orphanage, the small wooden beds, the warm soup in the evenings, the sound of laughter, of stories told before sleep. He remembers the way Korczak's voice filled the halls, the way he made even the darkest nights feel safe. He remembers the hope he once had, the belief that the world was still good. Then, a faint hiss fills the air. It is slow at first, soft, almost like a whisper. But Aron knows what it means. Everyone does. The whispers fade. The prayers stop. The only sound left is the slow, steady breathing of those who still hold on. The room grows warmer. The air grows heavier. Aron feels his legs weaken, his body sinking down. He reaches for something, anything to hold on to. A hand finds his, small, trembling, a child's hand. Korczak does not move. He stays where he is, his arms around the children, his head bowed slightly. He does not fight. He does not try to escape. He only holds them. His presence a final shield against the darkness. Aron keeps his eyes open for as long as he can. He wants to remember this moment. Not the fear, not the pain, but the way Korczak never let go. The way he kept them safe even in the very end. Then the world fades. The room falls silent, and everything is gone. The silence does not last forever. Outside the walls of the gas chamber, the world moves on. The guards continue their duties, carrying out orders without hesitation. The smoke from the chimneys rises high into the sky, blending with the clouds. The camp remains filled with the sound of barking dogs, of shouted commands, of the endless march of prisoners to their fate. The bodies inside the chamber are removed quickly. The process is mechanical, practiced, efficient. The guards do not look at the faces. They do not see the small hands still clasped together, the last traces of comfort that remained in those final moments. They do not see the way Korczak's arms still seem to hold the children. Even in death, they do not see because they do not want to see. Outside, the sun is beginning to set. The sky turns a deep orange, the color of fire. The workers assigned to carry the bodies do so in silence. They have seen too much to react anymore. They do not ask who these people were. They do not ask if they were loved. They do not ask if anyone will remember them. But someone does remember. Far from the camp, beyond the barbed wire and the watchtowers, the Warsaw Ghetto still stands. It is smaller now, emptier. The streets are filled with broken glass, with the ruins of homes that once held laughter, warmth, and love. But there are still those who survive, those who carry the memories of the lost. There are those who whisper Korczak's name, who tell the story of the old doctor who refused to leave his children. The tale spreads, passing from one prisoner to another, from one survivor to the next. Some call him a fool. He could have saved himself, they say. He could have lived. Others call him a hero. He stayed when he did not have to. He gave the children something no one else could: dignity, love, and the comfort of not dying alone. Aron's name is also spoken in hushed voices. Some say he was just another orphan, lost like so many others, but some remember him differently. They recall the boy who survived so much, who learned to fight, to steal, to lie, all just to stay alive. They wonder what he was thinking in those last moments, whether he was afraid, whether he still believed there was hope. Outside the ghetto, the war continues. The world does not stop. New battles are fought. New lives are lost. But among those who survive, among those who make it out, the memory of Korczak and his children remains. Some of the children from the orphanage had escaped before the final deportation. They carry his lessons with them. They remember the way he told stories at night, the way he made them believe in a world that was kinder, gentler. They remember the way he stood tall, even in the face of death. Years pass. The war ends. The camps are liberated. The ghetto is reduced to rubble. The world looks upon the destruction, upon the graves of millions, and asks how it could have happened. But there is no answer. There is only memory. Korczak's story is told again and again, by those who knew him, by those who heard of him. His books remain, his words pass down to new generations. His name is written in history, but more importantly, it is written in the hearts of those who understand his sacrifice. In the end, he was not just a doctor, not just a teacher. He was something more. He was a father to the forgotten. He was a light in the darkest of times. He was proof that even in a world consumed by cruelty, kindness could still exist. Years passed and the world changed. The war ended, but its scars remained. Cities were rebuilt, families tried to move on, and the world attempted to make sense of what had happened. But some things could never be erased. The loss was too great, the memories too painful. Millions had perished, and among them were the children of the orphanage and the man who had refused to leave them. Janusz Korczak's name was not forgotten. Survivors who had known him, who had lived to tell his story, made sure of that. His books, his teachings, and his legacy lived on. People spoke of the way he had dedicated his life to children, the way he had protected them, not just in life but in death. His writings on education, on kindness, on respect for children as individuals, became part of discussions long after he was gone. In Poland, a memorial was built in his honor. His face was carved in stone, his name engraved so that future generations would know who he was. In Israel, his name was placed among the righteous among the nations, honoring him as a man who had shown the best of humanity in the worst of times. Schools were named after him, books were written about him, and his orphanage, though reduced to ashes, remained alive in the hearts of those who remembered it. But beyond the memorials and the history books, his true legacy lived in the way people continued his work. Teachers who believed that every child deserved respect, that every child's voice mattered, carried his ideas forward. Those who fought for the rights of children, who refused to let them be forgotten or mistreated, stood as proof that his lessons had not been in vain. Some of the children who had escaped before the final deportation grew up carrying his words with them. They became teachers, writers, and parents, raising their own children with the love and kindness he had taught them. Some of them would sit with their own children at night and tell stories, just as he had once done. They would remind them that even in the darkest of times, there had been people who had chosen to be good. Aron's story, too, lived on. Though his life had been one of struggle, of survival in the harshest conditions, his presence in Korczak's orphanage had meant something. He was one of many children who had experienced the warmth of a home, even in a place where the world was falling apart. And through him, through every child who had once walked the halls of the orphanage, Korczak's spirit endured. There is a truth that history often teaches, that cruelty is easier than kindness, that power can destroy innocence. But there is another truth, one that Korczak proved with his life. It is the truth that kindness does not disappear, that love does not vanish even in the face of destruction. It is the truth that one person's compassion, one person's refusal to abandon those who need them, can change the world. Korczak did not save his children from their fate. He could not stop the war, could not change the hatred that consumed so many lives. But what he did was something just as powerful. He made sure they were never alone. He gave them dignity, love, and comfort when the world had taken everything else away. He stood beside them, not because he had to, but because he believed in something greater than himself. And in the end, that belief, that choice, is what made him unforgettable. It is what made him more than just a man, more than just a teacher or a doctor. It made him a symbol of what it means to be truly human. His story is not just a lesson from the past. It is a reminder for the present, for the future. It is a call to remember that even in the worst of times, there is always a choice to be kind, to stand with those who are vulnerable, to protect, to teach, to love. Janusz Korczak made that choice, and because of that, his story will never fade. That's the end of the story. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, and subscribe for more exciting tales. Check out our other videos and share your thoughts in the comments. Stay tuned for the next adventure. Thanks for watching.